and thanks for joining me on another photography adventure. I'm Chris, a traveling landscape photographer, and my goal is to help you improve your photography skills through my own tips and tricks as a landscape photographer. Today we're in beautiful Joshua Tree, and in this video I'm going to show you how to photograph penguin rock into juniper tree. This location is quite accessible to get to. It's located inside of Jumbo Rocks Campground at campsite number 18. Really, there's like 17, 18, 19, 20, those couple campsites that are in this general area. While you do need reservations for this campground specifically, you don't need any sort of reservations to photograph this location. It's just right next to these few campgrounds. If you do come here and there are other campers, just be mindful about treading through their camp to get here. You can go around on some of the rocks, so you don't have to come directly through the camps itself. Just look on a map and kind of mark your way so it's a little bit easier for you to find this location and not disturb other campers. All right, let's get started. So let's talk about what we're photographing here. We're photographing a rock formation that looks like a penguin at certain perspectives. And beside it is a really cute juniper tree. And the two together are the subjects that we're photographing here in this location. This is a sunset shot because the light is beautiful how it just glows over top of the landscape. Really, though, you should be waiting till right after sunset because the ambient light that bounces around off the rocks projects a really beautiful pink glow on the rocks and the landscape itself. The focal lengths you want to use for this shot are anywhere between 16 to 24. Depending on where you're positioned to take the shot with your focal length, you're going to have a couple different things happen. One, the shape of the rock itself is going to either become bigger or smaller, so it's going to look like a fat penguin or a thin penguin. The tree itself will also get larger or smaller, depending on the perspective. Then you have the relationship between the rock and the tree itself. You can either have the tree larger in the frame and it towers or hovers over the rock itself, or if you back up, you can make the rock appear larger and have it side by side where the top of the rock and the top of the tree are running parallel. All right, so let's go ahead and review how you're going to compose an image for this classic or original composition. So as you can see behind me, you have this rock and it slopes, it's slanted, so just be careful when you're working the composition because numerous times my foot has kind of slipped and I've fallen, so just be careful when you're here. But for this classic composition, you're going to want to stay in this general location and you're going to want to move your camera around in this space. And there's a lot of different ways to kind of get this classic photograph. So the first one is going to be where you're crouched down low and you're shooting up. And what this is going to do is give the tree the perspective of hanging over top of the rock itself. That looks really cool. I really like that. I think it's nice for the eye to kind of flow in through the image and around. Another way that you can compose this is if you come back here a little bit more. I almost slipped, see? You gotta be careful. Is if you come back a little bit more and you're kind of standing up around here, this is going to give you the perspective of the rock being larger than the tree, and the tree itself will be kind of parallel to the top of the rock. I think this is really nice too. This also gives you a lot more environment in the background of your shot. Now, if we go back here, this is really great because the camera's pointed up, and so you have a lot of the sky visible in your shot. That's great for two things. One, if you have a sunset with high clouds and the sky is just on fire, bingo. That's gonna be a great shot. Two, if you do astrophotography or want stars in your shot, this is also the composition that you'll probably want to go for. Again, there's a lot of sky, and so if you can fill that with anything other than the blue sky that is happening right now with no clouds, your shot's probably gonna look pretty good. So you can also shoot this landscape or portrait, so don't be afraid to turn the camera and then see what you can get to. All right, I think that about covers the first composition. So let me go ahead and show you composition number 2, which is my favorite. This composition is kind of similar, but it also is unique, and let me show you why. All right, composition number 2. So we're in the same area as our first composition. However, I am back further from when I was up closer to the rock and the tree when I was shooting at 16 millimeters. So I've pushed myself back very close to this big spiky bush. Please don't fall into this. It hurts. But I am wedged in between this and the rock in a very awkward position where I have one leg down on the dirt and the other leg kind of on the rock. So that way I can frame and get the shot. So this is about where I am. When I'm standing here, the camera's about head height. I'm like 5'6", 5'7". So this is the perspective that I want here. This is where the camera needs to be in relation to everything else. What I'm trying to do with this composition is actually create a 3 or 4 stitched panorama. So with composition number 1, what I was trying to do was exclude everything in my frame except the rock and the tree itself. That included the bush that I mentioned earlier. Now what I'm trying to do is include that and the rocks that are off to the left. I want to create a panorama of this scene. It's a photograph that you really don't see when you Google penguin rock and juniper tree photography. And I think it's really nice because it captures the environment that the rock and the tree is in. The original composition to me just feels quite lonely because it's just 2 structures and a little bit of foreground and background. This second composition just really tells more of a story for me anyways. I think it's a more compelling image. So let me show you on the back of my camera what this photograph will look like when I pan the camera from right to left. Now this shot is, like I said, perfect with clouds. Today there are no clouds. However, I was here yesterday and I could not have asked for any better conditions. So enough talking about this composition. Let's go ahead and check out the shot that I got yesterday. Here's the shot. I was here about 2 months ago for a week. I drove down from Denver and I was really hoping to get this photograph, and unfortunately it rained the whole time. I did not get any really good photographs. It was just not, weather was not cooperating, wasn't working for me. But I'm here again for another week, and I'm really glad that I nailed the shot on my first day here. Also, on my website, I have started posting a bunch of photo notes. So different locations that I've gone to and photographed, I've started to write out detailed notes on how to get there, how to compose images, and I think you find them really helpful. I'm going to include it for this location, and I've also included it for other ones, such as the Crystal Mill in Marble, Colorado, and Factory Butte in Utah, and a whole bunch others. So go ahead and check out my website and take a look at the notes. They're completely free. You can download them, save them. I hope it helps you become better photographers and allows you to capture more compelling images. All right, I said in the beginning of this video that this is not a great sunrise spot, or I at least haven't seen any great photographs of Penguin Rock during sunrise. I think that's about to change. I looked out of my tent this morning and there was 100% high cloud coverage, and the sky was just burning red and orange. It was on fire and it looked absolutely gorgeous. So I grabbed my gear and I ran back up here because I wasn't planning on shooting this for sunrise. When I was here a few months ago, I tried sunrise, but the lighting just didn't work out. It just didn't look very great. And so that's changed this time. Now that we're in wintertime, the way that the light is hitting the rock, it's illuminating the left side of it and it looks really great, but the rest of the foreground isn't capturing any light. And so it's just the rock that's being illuminated, and I really like that. Now, as the sun is coming up, it's starting to cast the light on the tree and more on the foreground, and so I'm capturing some shots of that too. And it looks really great. The rock on the left side doesn't capture any light. That's going to come from your sunset, since the sun's going to set over on the right side. It's going to be projecting over towards the left. But I really like the way that the light is actually hitting the landscape right now. This is a wonderful surprise. Now, I really like how the light is happening on the foreground and the rock and the tree. However, the sky in the background isn't great. They're just white clouds with the blue sky, so it would probably be a really good black and white photo. Maybe we'll take a look at that. But what I'm going to do is do a sky replacement from this morning sky from about a half hour ago. The sky there was just absolutely incredible. So I'm going to do a sky replacement, but with the lighting on the Penguin Rock itself, and we'll see how the photo turns out. So let's go ahead and take a look at the shot. Thanks so much for joining me on this adventure to Penguin Rock in Joshua Tree National Park. I really hope you learned how to compose better images here of Penguin Rock, and I really hope you enjoyed the photos that I showed in this video. Let me know in the comments below which photo you like the most. Also, if you have photographed Penguin Rock before, I'd love to see some shots, so go ahead and drop a link to your Instagram or your portfolio so that way we can all take a look. Thanks again for watching, and see you in the next video.